So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Thank you, Hervé, for organizing this webinar about CGI activities. So I'm here to speak about the Geoscience Domain Working Group activities. So my name is Mickaël Beaufils. I'm working for the French Geological Survey, BLGM, and I'm the chair of this working group. So as you can see on my slide, there is a logo that is OGC. So OGC is the Open Geospatial Consortium, and the Geoscience Domain Working Group is a joint domain working group between OGC and the CGI. CGI is about geoscience data community, as Hervé said, and OGC is broader. It's mostly about geospatial data, but it can also discuss data that are not associated to specialization. And well, there is a strong link between them in order to fulfill the requirements and fulfill also the needs about geoscience data description and sharing for GIS, but also broader in order to share information. So this domain working group, that's DWG, was officially created in September 2017. I'm the current chair of it since its creation, and well, there used to be another chair, but for now I'm the only one to do that. But it's open to having a co-chair. I mean, if you're interested, please contact me. So the main goal of this geoscience domain working group is, as Hervé said, it's about organizing activities and set action to reach fair geoscience data. So the FAIR acronym is something that you probably heard about, and it's very connected to our activities. So it's in order to have a better interaction with the geoscience data. So we work on being able to find data, discover geoscience data. So that's something you already know, and you can see here what is proposed to do in order to reach that. So having some identifiers, set metadata. And the second step is have accessible geoscience data. So we are working on the usage of standard communication protocol. We don't set them. This is something that is part of the OGC. There are dedicated standard working groups that do standards, like as your WMS, WFS, some standards you already know. And what we assess is their suitability for geoscience, but we can also have an impact on those standards and define a better way to use them and probably make them progress in order to facilitate our activities. So that's the second step about accessibility. We also work on interoperability. So that's mostly the actions regarding data models. And this is mostly endorsed by a group like GeoSciML and also Earth Resource ML, standard working groups. You will hear about them in a few minutes. And what we do is try to organize activities around the definition of progress and also concept in those working groups and data models. And the last step, not the least, is about make the data reusable. So there is a strong need of action regarding tracking the provenance of the data and to make them reusable. So if we manage to do those four steps, F, A, I, and L, you will have some fair data, and that's what we try to do. So regarding the geoscience domain perimeter, the idea is that it's deal with all kind of geoscience. So you will, of course, having activities around geology, and but also some things that are at the frontier and also in connection with other domain of activities. So for example, hydrogeology is in connection with the hydrology working group, domain working group. So we have common action with them, and one of them is the groundwater ML2 standard. We also have some connection with people working on soil definition, so with a domain working group dedicated to agriculture, but also, and there is also connection with groups around underground construction, so people dealing with city and infrastructure-oriented working group. So that's domain we are working on. We try to make, yes, not duplicate the same concept. For example, we think about geology should be have a common definition for people working on volcanology, mining, hydrogeology. That's the idea, in order to have the same definition for everybody. Another activity we have is to ensure proper connection with other groups. So you have seen on the previous slides it's about having a connection with other groups inside the Open Geospatial Consortium, but also outside of the Geospatial Consortium. So you may have heard about all of these working groups.
Sorry, Mickaël, but you are not sharing slides, at least not for me.
Oh, that's the same for you?
I am seeing your slide, Mickaël.
Oh my.
Okay, so
I'm really sorry for you.
Okay, I will go out and in again to see if there's some problems here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Sorry
my slides will be accessible. I mean, I think Hervé will make them accessible.
yes,
So I'm sorry for that.
yes,
For your experience. It's
yes,
not so comfortable,
yeah.
but they will be accessible. And I hope it will not be the same for the other people if you don't see the slides. So, okay. So yes, we are working on the connection with other groups. So it may be some directive like Inspire, legal impacts on what should be exchanged, and the definition of infrastructure to exchange geoscience data. So, for example, the EPOS project in Europe. We also have a connection with ISO, where OGC has a deep connection with ISO, especially for observation measurement. And also, these other people may address the topics about geoscience data standardization and description. So we try to be aligned with them, of course, in order to not duplicate the effort and to build something in common. So the key goals of the Geoscience Domain Working Group, they are exposed in the charter. So we have a document that say, okay, if you come here, you can expect to have this kind of activity. So foster technical solution which support concept, data definition, formats and sales of publishing, search and exchange of geoscientific information. So that's having the fair geoscience data. Thematic semantic coherence inside the geoscience domains and the related one. Connection with other working groups, as they are said, connection inside OGC and outside of OGC. Try to launch some activities, demonstration, that's something we can do also, and establish a workable approach to managing standards for geoscience spatial features. Also, we can also work on definition of tools in order to manipulate, to manage those data. So regarding the key dates and also participation to some OGC technical committees and highlights. So the idea, the creation of the Geoscience Domain Working Group happened in September 2017, but there was a previous action in order to have it formally defined. And after this launch of Geoscience Domain Working Group, we have a strong activity about the borehole interpretive experiment. And this was something that was the first official activity endorsed by the Geoscience Domain Working Group. But they are not only, this is not the only one thing we made. So yes, we try to meet when we can. I mean, with COVID-19, it's not so easy, but we expect to meet you in few times. So in the last official meeting of the Geoscience Working Group, it was in December 2020. And for this, we had some presentation about what an overview of activities of our group, things related to connection with geotechnics, things related to the loop project and also ontology. So you will have some presentation from Boyan in a few minutes. An overview of activities on the EPOS and GeoER project, and also some demonstration about exposing geoscience data with some API from OGC. So yes, the Geoscience domain, it's an opportunity to present what you do and to have some experts speaking about this. And also we try to organize some activities we can do together and to enhance geoscience data standards. So just to show you some real activities we have, indeed, not only speaking, but also doing things. This borehole interoperability experiment that ended last year, it was harmonization of the borehole definition indeed. So you can know there are, even in the name borehole, you can say borehole, well bore has different names to describe a hole in the ground. So there are many standards to describe them, and the idea was to reconcile them all in a generic conceptual model. So you can see in the comments that some things people try to do. We try to do it, but without having another standard. So we ended in proposing something that is inspired by the ISO 19148 about linear referencing, saying, okay, this is mostly a line on which you have some events that enable to say, I've seen this and I measure this from this depth to this depth. And there was also a demonstration of how that proposal of conceptual model could be used with real data, so for NRCan or BRGN, and also example provided to it. So the nickname of the project is Bechamel, so BHML, so that's what you have this here. And well, that was a report that was made. It is accessible online. I can send you the link to it. And the idea is, well, what would be the next step? Maybe a standard working group. That was one of our plan. Other thing we work on was about the demonstration of OGC API features and OGC sensor things API as alternative for inspired download services. So you may have heard about that for people in Europe, that the inspired directive is something important. The geoscience data have to be conformed to a model that is the geology model. And in order to expose them, for now in 2016, you could use only a sensor observation service or WFS app schema to expose your data. So you can also use at home. And in OGC, there were new API, especially exposing REST APIs that were developed. And the idea was to check if they were suitable to expose the data for geoscience. So yes, there was an activity to demonstrate that they can be used, and so it offers alternative in order to fulfill the Inspire requirements. Now you can use the Sensor Things API and API features. It's official. And this was demonstrated by using some data, and especially some geoscience data from BRGN, to show that it can work and it fulfills the requirements about that are exposed from Inspire. Another activity we had is, well, when you want to expose your data with a WFS, app schema, or OGC API features, you will see that it's not so easy. I mean, even with GeoServer, which is one of the most easy to use, in my opinion, this is still quite painful. I mean, and the idea was to form some activities in order to make it less painful. with GeoServer. So this is called a smart data loader, and BLGM especially contribute to its development. So when you identify your data and they are conformed to a data model, there is this step to say, okay, here are my data, and this please take it to do some exposition of data with API. So this is basically writing some XML files that do the mapping, and the smart data loader enables to do it with a user interface now. So that's less painful to do that. Of course, you still have to prepare your database at first, but it enables you to go forward on that activity, and especially if you have to do some updates, it will ease your life. That's something I would like to highlight, something interesting for people in geoscience. Also some express information. There is a current revision of the observation measurement standard, also named ISO 19156. So you can see here the current proposal. So it will be submitted in autumn 2021, and with expected validation around June 2022. I'm just saying that because the observation measurement standard is quite used in all models, especially for everything related to, yes, I've seen this on the field, or there is a sample that has been taken. The GeoSci-ML and also other standards are based on it, and if we change the base, it can have an impact on the other standards.
Mickaël?
So, yes?
1 minute remaining, please.
Okay, I have 3 minutes left, but okay. So there are also activities around the post-geo era and IUGS actions. I will not detail, but of course, it's deeply connected to the use of geoscience data standards and geoscience standards. Also discussion on BIM GIS digital continuity for geotechnics and between OGC and BSI. So next topics, and not necessarily in this order, we may probably discuss and organize activities around borehole standard working group. There was also an idea to have a 3D, 4D model interoperability experiment, probably extension of OGC geoscience standards to cover geotechnics, and also an activity that would be about enabling JSON, LD, or GeoJSON for GeoSci-ML and groundwater ML too. So that Eric will probably discuss in a few minutes. So here it is, an overview of what we made so far in this Geoscience Working Group. You can contact me at this email address. We have a mail list in which we try to share what we do, also a wiki on which you can access the presentation or activities we have. And we hope to organize a Geoscience Domain Group meeting in the next OGCTC, so probably in September 2021. So finger crossed for it. So it's my last slide.
Merci, Mickaël. Thank you for that very informative discussion or presentation. So is there now discussion? Please type your question or comment in the chat, or you can unmute and please go ahead. All right, one more chance. If anyone would like to ask Mickaël a question, or okay. Thank you for that praise from you, Simon. And all right. Okay, merci, Mickaël. Thank you for getting us started. So now, Eric Boisvert, would you please go ahead?